So I made some arched A-arms for my Rubicon a long time ago. Posted some videos of it. A lot of people were interested, so I'm making several sets for people. By several I mean 12. A bunch of people have already told me they wanted them, and then now that I'm making them have backed out. So I'll explain the procedure if you want them. But the main thing about them is extra clearance without any extra angle. So you see how I've got it to where it just barely follows the axle. So your stock, you're wasting a ton of clearance. The shock mount hangs down way down here. This whole thing drags a lot. So that's the main thing, right? So you can get more clearance without adding any angle to your axles. And another thing that's huge about them is the factory ones have this like cup right here, right? It's like a big cup. Rocks and mud just get stuck in there. I just cleaned that thing out. It was completely packed with mud. So that's a problem because it rips the boots. These, because they just use a piece of angle iron, there's not really anywhere for rocks to get stuck or anything. I improved on my other design. I used Weldon bungs and heims to make it adjustable. So if you're going to run different spring spacers or preload, really try to max it out, you can get your wheel lined up perfect. But when I'll send them to you, they'll be set up perfect for stock shocks, stock alignment. And you cannot use the high lifter lift. A bunch of people have asked that. You have to pull it off. There is no way to make this arched arms work with that lift. It'd just be so stiff, it'd be unrideable, number one. And number two, the geometry doesn't work out. With the way the shock's relocated, it'll end up a little stiffer than stock anyways. But as you can see, huge ground clearance, heavily maximized. Built a jig for each side of the bike, so it's all going to be very true. Also, I'm not a welder, right? So if you want pretty welds, or you are a welder, you probably won't like my arms. Those are my welds. They're very strong. I'm using an arc. Very good penetration, but they're not the prettiest. Once I paint them and everything, obviously they'll look a lot better. I haven't grinded anything yet either. But yeah, so they're very strong. I've made another set, and they held up fine to 34.5s with all kinds of different spring spacers and angles and everything else. But these are the only arched arms you can get for the back for Rubicon now, other than buying a Catboat lift, which is $3,000 and has Turner axles, and then you got all kind of worried about axle wear and stuff. So if you want one of these, two people have already paid me. About 6 people said they wanted them, but a couple people backed out, so I'm not really sure how many I have sold, but I'm making 12 pairs, right, to sell. And if you want them, you have to email me at christianthemudpuppy@gmail.com. A lot of you guys already have that email. That's my business email. Please don't send me questions there. If you have questions, post them on the Facebook page or post them on YouTube, whatever. But people have been trying to send me random questions on there, and I'm just not going to respond. Use that just for, you know, orders and keeping things organized. So, but yeah, email me on there, and if you want them, send me $100. That's like a deposit on them. They'll be ready to go within 2 weeks of me getting your $100, most likely a week or a couple days. And then the day they're ready to ship, I'll send you a picture of them, and you can pay me the rest of the money for them, and then I'll put them in the mail. I'm doing this because I don't want to sink much more money into materials. The heim joints I'm using are metric, high quality heims. They got the Teflon coating on them and stuff, so they're really expensive, good heims. But they're expensive, so I'm not gonna, you know, go ahead and buy all the heims. I got the steel and everything I need. I'm not gonna buy all the heims until I start getting, you know, deposits in on these things. Just because I can't have people bailing and then I'm stuck with these parts just sitting around. So if you're interested, my email again is christianthemudpuppy@gmail.com, and they will give you approximately 2 1/4, 2.5 inches of lift with just the arms. No high lifter lift. You cannot add any lift to it unless you want to do spring spacers, and you can do that to make it stiffer. But if you want to lift the front and you don't already have the high lifter lift, your options are buy the high lifter bracket lift, looks like that, or if you want, just send me an email, let me know in your email you want a front lift with it, and I'll send a bracket lift for the front of your bike too. I'm not 100% sure on the prices yet, and I'm not going to put them on here because that's always a mess, and then people just try to undersell you, and when someone eventually knocks off my stuff and starts making it cheaper. But just email me and I'll answer any questions you have. So the options are arch lowers, no front lift, and arch lowers front lift. Please specify that. And when you send me your email, send me your billing address too, so I can give you a shipping quote, because these are 1/4 inch wall pipes, so they're actually pretty heavy. But that's what you want, right? Because you want them to be really stout, because unlike the high lifter front A-arms, which are terrible in a bunch of different ways, these have to support the weight of the bike because the shock mounts on them. The front A-arms, the shock mounts on the top, right? And why I say the high lifter front arched A-arms suck is because they actually change the camber of the bike a little bit, and that's really bad because they sell them to fit the Rancher and the Foreman, and those two bikes are a little different with the front geometry. They use different axles, etc. So what they did was they just kind of made the arms in between the two, so they'll fit up both bikes. And the result of that is when you put them on a Foreman, it tows the wheel in a little bit, which adds steering effort and stuff. You won't notice it with power steering as much, but it's pretty annoying if you buy those arms and you put them on a Rubicon and all of a sudden your tires are rubbing the winch at full lock and they weren't before, and that's because it towed the bottom of the tire in significantly. I'm going to eventually make a set of front arched arms. That's going to be probably in a couple months. The next thing I'm going to have out is I'm going to have upper and lower rear arms with rake to relocate the center line of the axle about 1 3/4 inch back. So that's going to be, so if you want to run 34.5s with stock axles, the main problem is it rubs here and here, but with 1 3/4 of rake, you know, radius, diameter, yada yada yada, you can run a 3.5 inch bigger tire with 1.5 inch more quarters of rake without rubbing. Math. And then you can do the little mod I do where I re-drill these holes and push the floorboard back 3/4 of an inch, and then your front won't rub either, so you can run 33 wide BKTs or whatever with stock axles, which stock axles are great because, yes, they break sometime, but they never really wear out, and they don't run hot, and they're pretty efficient. Yeah, but I'm sure I'll get tons of questions. Just email me, and I'll probably have 6 sets of these ready to ship out by the end of the week. Got at least 2 of those sold, so if you want one soon, try to get to me pretty quickly, because I know my buddies want some, but they haven't shelled out the money yet. So yeah, christianthemudpuppy@gmail.com, all lowercase, obviously it's an email address, and mudpuppy is MUDPUPPY. Yep, thanks.